On that note, what does happen next? Who will fill Nathan Fletcher's position as County Board of Supervisors? Fox 5's Zara Parker joins us now with the two women that could want that District 4 seat. Zara.
Kathleen, as we know, there has been a lot of questions all throughout San Diego County of who is willing and who could take Nathan Fletcher's District 4 seat when he does resign in mid-May. Now, there's actually one candidate who already put her name into this election several months ago.
Just a few weeks ago, when people looked at Nathan Fletcher and Lorena Gonzalez, they saw an untouchable power couple. They saw Nathan Fletcher as the heir apparent to the governorship and even the presidency.
With Nathan Fletcher leaving his District 4 seat and out of the running for state senate, two political positions are in limbo, including who will take over supervisor of the most ethnically diverse district in the county, which represents 600,000 San Diegans living in areas such as Claremont, La Mesa, and Balboa Park.
District 4 is a really diverse community. We have both big portions of the city of San Diego as well as unincorporated areas. Also have one of the largest densities of veterans and military families in the country right here in District 4. As a Marine Corps veteran, it'd be an honor to serve my fellow veterans and military families, as well as the LGBT community, which is centered here.
Democrat Janessa Goldbeck announced she was running for District 4 several months ago. While she's continuing her run, the timeline is now up in the air.
Yeah, I announced that I was running in February because I want to lead and be in this seat. Whether or not it goes to an appointment process or an election, I'm ready. I'm ready to jump in. I'm ready to lead.
On the other side of the aisle, we checked in with Republican Amy Reichert, who ran against Nathan Fletcher in November, to find out if she is also eyeing this seat. If it does come down to an election and not an appointment, would you run for Nathan Fletcher's seat?
I just think it's still too early because we don't even know if there's going to be a special election or if there's going to be an election next year or if the supervisors are going to decide indeed they are going to follow part of the county charter, which is to appoint.
While Goldbeck and Reichert would likely have different political ideals for the seat, they both agree moving forward is needed.
Now, as we're looking back over the past couple of weeks, I think it's time that we start focusing on the recovery of San Diego.
I think as soon as we get a new supervisor in the seat, if that person is willing to roll up their sleeves, get to work, focus on actual progress, not politics as usual, we'll be able to get right back into it.
And so right now on the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, we have two Republicans and two Democrats without Nathan Fletcher in that seat. So whoever wins the seat, it would likely be a very pivotal role and could essentially tip the balance of power, if you will, when it comes to the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. But now, as these questions are still circling, now we just sit back and wait, as the San Diego County Board of Supervisors has announced that they will announce their next steps on May 2nd, whether this would go to a special election or if they will choose to appoint somebody. Live in Balboa Park, Zara Parker, Fox 5 News.